Shalom, shalom. Welcome to another video where we are talking more about what is happening in Israel on today, which is the day 4 of their called Operation Iron Sword. So Iron Sword is very interesting that they have used the word iron. There is a verse which it reminded me a verse which is in Daniel chapter 2 verses 41 to 45. Now here in the first verse I'll just read it out, and it says, and whereas those saw the feet and toes, part of the potter's clay and part of the iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as though so the iron mixed with miry clay. Now this verse might be difficult for someone who is just starting to read these verses, but I will take you through and give you a basic understanding so that we can be able to know what it says here. So to do that, let's go to the first verse, which can give us the understanding or the appreciation on how to translate these verses. So in here, this is a famous verse which for a number of years we have studied it before. So this is in Matthew chapter 19 verse 23 to 24, which says, and Jesus said to his disciple, truly I say to you, only with difficulty will a rich person enter the kingdom of heaven. So we are talking of a rich person here, how difficult it will be for him to enter the kingdom of heaven. And in second verse 24, it says, again I tell you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of the needle than a rich person to enter the kingdom of God. What Jesus here was talking about is we have to understand that the Hebrew culture is different to our culture. So we have to learn the Hebrew culture for us to understand and appreciate what they were talking about and put whatever we are reading in context. So everything here is not literal. It's what we call, some of it is allegory. So here, the kingdom of heaven is the objective of every Christian or every follower of Jesus to reach. But there is a limitation. The camel can take lots of things on its back and can walk lots of miles, but this camel is very tall than the man. But the camel can go through the eye of the needle. So to find out its meaning, let's go into a picture which will give us the meaning. So I've got this picture here. Now in this picture, as you can see, we have got two categories here. We have got the allegory. So allegory, as I mentioned already, is just the figurative. So the camel cannot go through the eye of the needle. Then you know it's just an expression. But if you know the Hebrew culture, you find that the needle itself, the eye of the needle, is talking literally is talking about when they build these houses and you have that door. This door here is the eye of the needle. So when people they want to enter the gates of Jerusalem to go inside, the rich people, they will have lots of baggage here, as you can see on the bottom here. They have to take them off the camel and they have to come down so that this camel can go through in there because of the space and size. Then the rich man will either ask other people also to get his belongings so that both of them can walk into the gate, through the gate. So that's what Jesus was saying, that the rich person has to give away his burden. He has to take off his burden so that he can be able to go in there. That's what Jesus was saying. So because the rich person, they hang on to whatever belongings they have, they can't go with it to heaven. That's why in one sense or in one parable, Jesus told the rich person that he has to give away his riches to other people and follow him. But because he loves his riches, he can't get rid of it. It's very hard for him to follow. So you can see that by just knowing the knowledge of the Hebrew culture itself, the Hebrew saying, we are able to know what is allegory and what is literal, especially in what we are going to be studying here with that Daniel chapter 2 verse 41. So let's proceed. Now this is the Daniel chapter 2 verses 41, which we just read. Now I'm not going to reread it again. So so this is Daniel chapter 2 verse 42, which we are looking at. So what are the things we need to bear in mind here and read? So I've divided it also in allegory and literal. So here, the dream, Nebuchadnezzar, when he dreamed the dream of a statue and Daniel came to interpret to Nebuchadnezzar, he mentioned that this figure he was seeing, it had the head of God, which means literally is Babylon. And Babylon today, it is in the area where the country of Iraq is. So we are talking of Iraq. And why Nebuchadnezzar saw this was not for himself, but it was for Daniel, because Daniel was thinking of Jerusalem. Because he was just a captive in Babylon, he was taken from Jerusalem. So he was more concerned with the worshipping of in the temple in Jerusalem. So Iraq or Babylon was the one controlling Jerusalem. So this is the seat of David and also where the temple is. So it was to do with the temple in Jerusalem and who was in control. Because whosoever was in control could either forbid from the participating for the daily sacrifice to end, because they were doing daily sacrifices. So those are the obligations which Daniel also felt that they shouldn't be blocked or they shouldn't be stopped, they should continue because they rely on it. And even Daniel, when he was praying, he was facing also Jerusalem. So it was very important. So that's why God gave Nebuchadnezzar this dream, answering Daniel's Daniel's thoughts on what was happening or his concern about Jerusalem, especially to do with the temple practices. Now, this statue, the chest was the chest of silver. Now, the chest of silver, it signified that the kingdom of Persia What is Persia today? Iran. So Iran was also controlling this. Then we go down, the west was of brass. This is under Alexander the Great. And this is Alexander the Great was a ruler from uh, Gracia, and now is Greece. So Greece was also controlling this, the temple, and Greece is where we get the Olympics, and they were believing in lots of gods, or I think 12 gods, and also they were also believing in heroism like Superman, sort of. So we are talking of Zeus and other gods. Now we come down here, we have got the legs of iron. Now the iron here is Rome and Constantinople, because Rome and under Constantine, they had two capital cities. This is the only empire in here controlling Jerusalem here, had the two capitals. So we know Rome is where Italy is, and this is where Turkey is. Then we go to the foot here. Now in the foot here, we are getting two composites. So we have got the iron and also the clay. So the foot and the toes of iron, they were of iron, but then they had also a mix of miry clay and also the potter's clay. So the potter's clay, bear in mind, the miry clay could be mixed with the iron. They could come together. But the potter's clay, which in Jeremiah, God is the one bringing his remnant as the potter's clay. And this potter's clay will not mingle with the iron and the miry clay. So let's further just look at some of the other definition. So here, the other thing also we are looking at. So we have looked at what was allegory and what is literal and which country Lord, but we haven't seen why. So most of the time, this kingdom, God also uses them for judgment against Israel. So the Babylonians also went in and punished Israel when they were not following the God statutes and commandments. So we could say Iran, which is Persia, also did the same, punished Israel for not following the God's commandments and statutes. Greece also, or Greece rather, also under Alexander the Great, they also punished Israel for not following God's commandments. Then we have also got Rome, which even burned the second temple in 70 AD for not following the commandments of God, and also on top of it crucifying Jesus Christ. Now in the iron also and miry clay, especially the miry clay, including the iron mix, they are also in our time punishing Israel for the things Israel are doing or not doing, i.e., following the commandments and also the statutes. Hence, in Israel today, you can get the LGBT, they are practicing transgender. There is lots of breaking the law I on Sabbath, not everyone else is observing the commandments which says, remember to keep my Sabbath holy. So there is so many things which is happening in Israel, up to one verse which mentions that Israel is Sodom, because there is also a big gay community and also transgender. So God also is coming back to punish, and he hasn't finished punishing Israel for it, even though we have read in Isaiah chapter 2:41 that the Israel will go against the Philistine, but still they will still get punished. They have to turn around and start um, following the statutes of God and also the commandment of God, so that the incursion or the attack from the surrounding nations can stop and God come to protect them. So this is one crucial point which we need to look at. So with that, I'm not going to proceed in teaching here, apart from saying that the world is now likely also in some areas going as the Ottoman Empire. So this is mostly the Muslim Empire after taking over Constantinople, because Rome fell only to the west, but it didn't fall to the east. And then you have the Ottoman Empire taking over. So some of the lands of the Ottoman Empire, which is the Muslim Caliphate, they are being taken over already, like Cairo, as you can see, part of Jerusalem, as you see, it has got the Dome of the Rock, and then you have got the Middle East, i.e. Saudi Arabia, then also Turkey. So Baghdad and Iran, you can see that they are all Muslim countries. So they are all coming back to resurrect the Ottoman Empire, which Erdogan in Turkey is in forefront trying to make sure that the Ottoman Empire starts to exist. So there is lots of movement, but they might not be able to fully be an Ottoman Empire. So with this, I thank you for viewing.